Live for episode 140 of the Wise Guys podcast. I am your host, Brandon Capozziello, and back with me again is Adrian Pineres, and we are here to discuss UFC 295, the 30th anniversary show of the UFC, main evented by Pereira, Procházka. We got two new world champions in the heavyweight and the light heavyweight division, and also some other fun fights that happen. All finishes, 5 finishes, which is crazy. We're gonna discuss what's next following UFC 295, Adrian, and we're gonna dive into some other comments and maybe some fights that have been announced over the past week since we have last discussed with each other. But first, before we get into all of that, please, if you're watching this video, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe if you are new, share the content, and follow us all on our social medias. Mine, Adrian's, the Wise Guy stuff. Links are all in the description. Click it up, like it up, follow it up. It helps us out, and we appreciate it, and we love you very much for it. So much. Thank you. But Adrian, how are you doing this fine Monday night, November 13th, 2020?
Ready to get into it, honestly. Ready to get into it. A lot of good things to talk about. A lot of interesting things to get out there to you guys, and definitely get speculating too. Finally have somebody. I'm just happy this didn't end in a draw for the heavyweight. There's some sort of foundation for light heavyweight, so that's nice. But same thing with just a lot of question marks with heavyweight. Just basically is what it's going to be, speculation. And would love to hear from everybody else, and would love to hear from you. How are you doing? How did you spend your weekend, and how did you enjoy these cards and these fights?
This fight card was incredible. Like I mentioned before, 5 finishes. I mean, it breezed right through. I think it ended around 12:30, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a tad bit earlier on the East Coast. I should say for us. It blew through. I mean, from start to finish. I mean, obviously we're going to talk about it from Lopes all the way to Pereira. It was action-packed. It was violent. Heavy hands were thrown and finishes were had.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the main event. Alex Pereira versus Jiri Procházka.
Start from the top.
The fight to finally crown the new undisputed light heavyweight championship, Adrian. Jiri obviously being out for over a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Former champ, relinquished the championship. Pereira, former middleweight champ, moving up. Second fight. Right out of the gate, the obvious thing was the leg kicks played an instant impact right away. It took about 3, if I'm not mistaken, before we all started seeing the welting and the damage being seen on Jiri and his because Jiri likes to move a lot. We all know that. He likes to, move around and do all these crazy little things and movements, and that was he still tried to. He still did it because Yuri's just he's a fucking wild man, so he's just gonna fight through that shit. But it obviously did play a factor because we could see him dragging his leg while he was trying to do those movements and stuff. But I mean, even before the fight, though, I mean, the stare downs between these guys. I mean, these guys did like not take their eyes off each other. I know Pereira was the stoic one, but Jiri was not taking his eyes off of Pereira as well. These two were just focused in, and the anticipation that was building when this fight started was immense. And so the first round, like I said, it started off right. Leg kicks played an instant factor. And then Jiri was able to get the takedown later on in the round and control, land a couple of elbows, right? But I gave it to Pereira the first round. I simply did it off of damage. 3 leg kicks, 4. It was a little more than that, but the leg kicks were obviously the most damaging part of that round and the thing that you took away from the most from round 1. So I gave round 1 to Pereira, but round 2, Jiri was winning that up until obviously the TKO. Jiri was actually starting to find his groove a little bit, land some big shots, rock Pereira, but he got caught and he got dropped to a knee, shot for a takedown, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Some big shots were landed on him, then some big elbows. I should say some big punches were landed on him, then some big elbows. and he kind of fell backwards. Pereira was in basic mount, and the fight was called right there. So I want to get your thoughts on the fight before we get into the finish, and if either of us had a problem with it. So what did you? I pretty much articulated the almost the entire fight, but what did you think? Did you differ in any of the opinions I offered? Do you want to add anything, Adrian? What did you think of the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had Jiri winning that first round personally. I could understand why somebody would, end up picking Alex to win that first round. Like from the first leg kick, you saw Jiri kind of like lose his footing. He kind of lost his balance and swept that first lead leg out from under him. And then he was just that was the name of the game for Alex. I think that was probably the game plan. Just keep this guy in front of him. Take away the mobility, take away the weirdness, take away the bounce back ability from Jiri. Because I think that's what Glover actually, was somebody who would stand and bang with him, but not as prolific with the kicks as Alex at all. So, that was a good addition to that game plan, and I think they figured him out pretty well. But also at the same time, I think I did have Jiri winning that first round based off of his ground control and based off of I thought he did a good amount of damage on the ground. And on top of that, going into the next round, I agree that Jiri did look like he had Alex pretty in a bad position. He hit him with a nice straight right hand right up the middle, and it looked like it pushed Alex, put the pressure, pushed him all the way back to the cage. But with both of these dudes, you know how they are. When you start putting pressure on these dudes, they're wild animals. They're gonna swing back at you, especially with Pereira's check hook. And yeah, that's all it took. That check hook, a couple of those hammer fists, a couple of those mean elbows. I think, dropped Jiri down to that knee. Like you said, he tried to wrap him up a little bit. It always looked like he was already dropped from the left-right hook combination. And I would have, obviously, you don't like seeing fighters take more damage at all. But I think that at least one strike on the ground to solidify the dominance of the position. I don't think that it was I don't think anybody needs to be convinced that that was a dominant position to be in as Alex Pereira, but basically past the guard, full mount, up on under his arms, basically. His legs were basically at his neck at that point when he fell backwards. So I can understand the stoppage. Jiri said he was out. So what are you going to say about that? What are we going to argue about that? But at the same time, I will take back that he did have that one recent interview that he said he was out and he came back. And, so it is a title fight. To each their own. I personally would have liked to see at least one or two strikes on the ground to solidify that positioning in that situation.
One thing. So before I get to the finish, right? I would offer, because you said you scored it for Jiri that round one. I would just but you said you understood the reasoning of why you would give it to Alex. It's just, to me,
I thought a toss-up round. Yeah, absolutely a toss-up round.
To me, depending on what you prefer. There was control on the ground, right, from Jiri. But other than I think it was 3 elbows at maximum, that didn't do obviously that much damage. That's where I was like, okay, I'm not gonna give him that. And then Alex, obviously the leg kicks. If I'm not, did he drop Jiri with one of the leg kicks? I know they don't count him as knockdowns.
I'm not gonna say that I can fully recall that, but I do remember him a lot of those kicks taking away his balance, being visibly damaging. It did look like they stung. Nobody wanted to eat those things.
And that is that's what the judges look for most of it. Obviously, well, that's what I'm told that they look for, because John McCarthy was there when they wrote the rules.
Yep.
That's what he says, is that the judges look for damage. So that's, but in terms of the finish, right?
Sometimes you never know what these judges are looking at, though. I'm just going to throw that.
Yeah, obviously a lot of things are.
Yeah. Go ahead.
In terms of the finish, though, I instantly, it was like, I tweeted about it right away. I said, I understand where Mark Goddard is coming from. I would have let it go a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
I understand what he saw, which was, and you can see it in the replays, Jiri kind of it sucks because the argument can be had that yes, Jiri, it looks like Jiri folds and Alex topples on top of him.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, the argument could be had that just the momentum and balance of Alex just kind of toppled on top of Jiri and he wasn't completely out. And I know you said he was out, but he was also probably concussed
Capable
at that point in time,
of coming
and his
back up,
English is not the best. Even though he's very good at it, and he's got more skills than I can in the language. I can't even learn his language or let alone Spanish. So I'm not gonna talk shit about that. But I'm just saying, we saw in the Johnny Walker fight possibly a language barrier there. So that's where all I say. I understand where Mark Goddard is coming from, who is a great ref, not taking anything. Mark Goddard is one of the best. But I would have let it gone a little farther for a couple of reasons. One, you mentioned championship fight. Two, we've seen Jiri Procházka get rocked and come back. Like we've
seen that from multiple fighters.
Yeah.
Benson Henderson even talks about it.
And number three, and I don't know if it was Mark Goddard last year. I think it was in Pereira versus Adesanya in the first MMA fight, which was also an MSG a year ago, which also was an early stop. I still believe was an early stoppage. I still don't believe that stoppage was a correct stoppage. I felt it was early then. I still feel it now a year later.
For Pereira, the first Pereira fight?
The first Pereira, the first Pereira Adesanya fight. I think it was Mark Goddard that was reffing.
It was Mark Goddard.
I think so. So
Adesanya did have that reaction.
And I do like Mark Goddard a lot. He makes a lot of right decisions, obviously. And being an MMA referee, while it's not the hardest job in the world, which some people make it out to be, which it's just not. Like, try being an open heart surgeon. I would imagine that is much more difficult than being an MMA ref. I'm not saying it's not difficult, but there's balances here, right? Just feel like Jiri deserves, for those three reasons, championship fight. We've seen Jiri get dropped, rocked, and come back before. And it feels another a la last year MSG. Adesanya early stoppage, Jiri early stoppage. Not saying that the fight wouldn't have been the same outcome with Alex just winning and raining down more big shots, but you never know. You know what I mean? Like the momentum of Alex could have shifted. We saw insane. Just go back and watch the Jiri Glover fight. You've seen insane shit. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
That's why Jiri pointed to that Dominic Reyes fight, his Dominic Reyes fight, when he recently had an interview. He said he was literally knocked out. He was out, and he came back, and he managed to win the fight. So Benson Henderson talked about it too. So it is just I agree with you 100%. It comes down to fighter safety and how much you're willing to like risk that, or how much you're willing to give the leash, loosen the leash, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's a title fight. Any fighter who's in that position, that is at that level of fighting, will tell you, leave me in there. Some of these guys are crazy enough, they'll want to die in there. And they respectfully, I know Jiri would do that. Like we all hear the way he talks. Look at this. He's a stoic warrior. He's the type of guy who's out there sitting in the cold, samurai dude. Like this is the era of the stoic warrior, like mysterious guys. Like they're doing their whole thing. And I love everything that it's about. But at the end of the day, we have to also understand that they're human. We got to also understand that sometimes, I think we should look back at like a Glover speech when he fought Jamal Hill. Sometimes they're too tough for their own good, and people got families, people got futures, and we gotta. I understand where Mark is coming from, but I also, like I said, probably a few strikes.
One or two. Nothing major. All right, so that wraps up the main event. So on to the co-main event. I'm not going to say I kind of told everybody so, but I mean, I've been calling this for a minute. I've been singing this guy's praises, Mr. Tommy Aspinall. Tommy Aspinall. Let's go. Tom Aspinall is your new UFC interim heavyweight champion of the world after knocking out Sergey Pavlovich in 1 minute and 9 seconds, but holy hell was that!
And I love the hype. I love the excitement. I love the excitement. I love the excitement behind Tom Aspinall. I love the fandom behind Tom Aspinall. I think everybody's cool. I think he's a great guy. I think he's a great personality. Going to be a great champion. But with all that comes the question marks in the division of.
We're not going to get into that right now, Adrian. Don't randomly play. Let's sing the praises.
We'll look past that.
Let's sing the praises. Let's sing the praises of Tom Aspinall first. Let's discuss this.
Let's go.
1 minute and 9 seconds that it lasted. Sergey versus Aspinall. I mean, I'm looking at the counting numbers. It looked like Sergey only landed that one shot. He was 1 for 7 on all his shots, but that one shot was the one that woke Tom up right away. I mean, I felt it there. I was like, oh, and we all saw it visibly. The mouthpiece was almost popped out of his mouth. You saw his head shiver back. It whiplashed him, and you just saw him like wide-eyed wake up like, oh, okay, yep, this guy hits really, really fucking hard. and from that point on, you saw Tom say, okay, the game plan is be in and out, use my speed, use my movement, and my quickness and agility to beat this power guy.
Mm-hmm.
And did he ever? He started going to work. He started going to town. He started teeing off those big shots and hit a perfect combo with the second shot coming right behind the ear, wobbling the big giant in Sergey Pavlovich, dropping the big bear, and the other shots on the ground weren't even necessary because Pavlovich was already done. It was a done deal at that point. But Tom Aspinall is your new UFC interim heavyweight champion. And just what a performance, what a ride this guy has been on. Like I said, I told you, Adrian, last week that I peeped this guy 3 fights into his UFC career in February. I'm looking at February 20th, 2021, when he beat Andrei Arlovski by submission in the second round. Mm-hmm. That's when I said, oh, eyes open. This guy is the future.
Nice.
And he's only 30 years old. And I'm telling you right now, every single fight that he's been in the UFC has ended via finish. He's actually, in his entire career, he's never gone the distance. He's only gone to the second round, midway of the second round. And he's just on a complete high. I mean, he's got finishes over Andrei Arlovski, Sergey Spivak, Alexander Volkov, Marcin Tybura, and now Pavlovich. And that Curtis Blades fight obviously wasn't even Curtis Blades that messed up his leg. It was just a movement, and that knee was just going to snap regardless of what happened. And I'm saying all this basically just to sing this man's praises, because this man is neck. Like, he is not even next, he's now. He is so good. The movement at heavyweight where he moves like a middleweight, the power, the effortless power. You know, I go back to that quote of Connor that I think I'm probably going to butcher. You know, speed beats power, but precision beats speed.
No, yeah,
that's exactly what
timing beats power, and precision beats speed. Or no, precision beats power.
We're butchering it up, but you get where we're coming from, and that's really what it was. Speed beating the power, and then the precision of the shot behind the ear, knocking him out. And you go back to the Tybura fight where he even says afterwards, it was a shot. I wasn't even trying to knock the guy out. Effortless power there, the speed, the movement. And we've seen his groundwork. He's elite on the ground. And you know, and everybody knows in heavyweight MMA, there's a dime a dozen. I mean, obviously you got John Jones, right? And you got Curtis Blades, who's a wrestler. But his jiu-jitsu, I don't think we've ever seen really tested because there's not many jiu-jitsu practitioners in the heavyweight division. We got Jelton Almeida. Obviously, he wasn't able to get the finish on Derek Lewis, but we know he's got that threat of jiu-jitsu. His wrestling is just ass, right? And for Tom, and Stipe can handle himself in the wrestling department, but he's obviously not going to do that anymore at like 40 plus years of age. But Tom can take you down, and Tom can quit. We saw it in the Volkov fight, how quickly he got that fight to the ground and instantly got the finish with the submission. The elite level skill set of Tom Aspinall. I did, and I'll throw it to you after this, Adrian. This is what I said. I think it was almost over a year ago, I think, at this point. I was like, if there's one guy that I think has a shot to beat John Jones, it's this guy, Tom Aspinall, right here. I'm not saying I would pick Tom to win if they had a fight, if they matched up. I would pick John, because John, to me, is the greatest of all time. I've spieled that enough on this show. Scariest man of all on the planet, the baddest man on the planet, the greatest of all time, everything, all that, right? I would pick him, but I would understand, with all that being said, Tom Aspinall is a live player in this heavyweight division. What say you, Adrian, about everything that I said and the night that was Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich?
Oh, man. I mean, I agree with everything you said. I mean, Tom Aspinall was a star the key moment he came in and did what he did to I'm sorry, Volkov. And I think that he started stamping his name into this division real fast with all these first round finishes. Same thing with Sergey. If you watch the post conferences I do, I like to see what's next, and I like to see how some of these fighters react to certain wins or losses, depending on who shows up and who doesn't. And Tom talked about how there's a heavyweight, or there's an inner ranking circle. There's a ranking circle, and now Sergey is the guy that nobody wants to fight. Sergey's the guy nobody wants to fight. That dude, like that dude was scary. He was the scary guy of the heavyweight division, and I think Tom, although with the fandom, everybody had these question marks about whether or not his striking was going to live up to Sergey's, and he proved a lot of people wrong. He proved that he could go into a second gear. The question is now, if he does manage to get this fight with John Jones, would John Jones even allow Tom to get to that second gear before? Because John has already proven it with Ciryl that he will take you down and he will do what he has to do before you can even blink. He's not sitting here waiting. He's not sitting here looking for a bloodbath. He's gonna efficiently dismantle you. He will dismiss. He'll figure you out. He's gonna figure out what you like, what you don't like, and how he's gonna get in, get out, and get his bag. And so Tom, I think, has a shot. I really do. I agree with that sentiment, especially with the John Jones of now. Who knows how he's gonna look like after injury? Who's gonna look like after 8 months? We obviously know that John Jones of heavyweight is not John Jones of light heavy, but he does look as impressive as anybody could imagine John Jones at this age. So we will have to see about if he can even get that fight. But to go back to saying his praises, like, wow, what a performance! Just what a performance.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and we'll go on to the heavyweight division talk, right? The looming question of what's going on in the heavyweight division. So we've got John Jones is obviously the undisputed heavyweight champion. We've got Tom Aspinall as the interim UFC heavyweight champion. And we've got Stipe Miocic, who is looking like he's going to fight John Jones for the undisputed title. Mm-hmm. John is obviously out with the torn pectoral muscle. I think I read it's 6 to 8 months, I believe, somewhere in that time frame for a torn pec. Again, it can all vary on how John attacks the rehab and the physical therapy and all that stuff, how his body reacts to it and all that stuff, right? I mean, he is an elite level athlete. We've seen elite level athletes come back from crazy shit.
Also, with now, to interrupt just a minute, with the addition of the news of, the switching of the company. I'm blanking on the name. USADA is no longer going to be testing. So who knows what exactly performance drugs they will and will not be testing for. So who knows if John will be able to take something that'll speed up that process. Could. I mean, who knows what they will and will be testing for. That's just, I always add that because there is the McGregor aspect to that. That's it, to add that whole notion. But yeah, I want people to know that we could see John Jones sooner than expected.
You could. I mean, it depends. I'm kind of eyeballing summer as the earliest that we could see that. And like I said, I've stood pat. We're getting John Jones versus Stipe Miocic next. I'm sorry. That's I know a lot of people are, crawling and all that stuff about it, and they're saying the fight to make is Jones Aspinall. But I agree with you. But you're wrong because it's John Jones and he gets to dictate John Jones's future because he's the fucking greatest of all time. And when you are the GOAT, you get that type of cachet where you get to call your own shot. All right, so I hear some people say, "Oh, well, look at Jiri, he relinquished the title. Look at Jamal Hill, he got straight. Look at this guy, he got straight." Again, we're talking about John Jones, the GOAT. Okay, you don't want to upset John Jones where now he's pissed off and you don't get another John Jones fight. For how much is made of the UFC is the UFC, and it doesn't matter who's fighting because that company is going to stay strong. 100% agree with you. But guess what? The stars do matter too. And the UFC doesn't want, it's not good for business for the UFC to let a big star like John Jones, their GOAT, walk, not for another company, but basically just put on ice and not fight anymore because you pissed him off. And you don't want to piss off John Jones by killing his legacy fight that he wants with Stipe Miocic. Because if you put Tom Aspinall with Stipe, and I'm not saying Stipe would lose that fight, but Tom has a very, very good shot of winning. I would pick Tom to win that fight. You don't want to kill that goose where now John Jones goes, oh, well, you just, I mean, because we can kill two birds with one stone anyway. You can have your cake. I should say you can have your cake and eat it too. Jones can fight Stipe and fight Tom. All right. Those two things can happen. This is how I picture it. You have Jones and Stipe fight, and I believe Jones gets the job done. You have Tom fight somebody, maybe a Cyril Gane, a Curtis Blades, one of those two guys, or you put Cyril Gane versus somebody, and maybe the winner of that fights Tom in the middle of next year, because we're not getting Tom Aspinall versus John Jones till possibly late next year, if not early 2025. So Tom has to stay active, right, is what I'm getting at. And I would imagine Tom probably wants some time off. He even said in the post-fight press conference. And we forgot to mention, Tom fucked his back up right before the fight. So,
but also,
go ahead.
What do we like? Okay, so let's say you're the interim champion of the world. Okay. Are you going to defend your title?
If that's my only option, yeah.
No. But if Dana goes up to you, I mean, if you're, of course, like if your only option and you're the champion, of course you're going to have to defend your title. Yeah. But Dana even said in the presser, like, Tom can take some time off. He's got enough money. But if I'm the champ, the interim champ, and a lot of people's interim championship status is not really looked at as fondly as undisputed. Yeah. So what am I defending this interim belt for? I'm sitting back and waiting for Jones and Stipe to happen. But here's the thing. This isn't the number 1 seed versus the number 8 seed. This isn't like a 7-game series. This isn't even also just like a real like wash of a fight. Like this is a something that Jones could actually, like, anything can happen in MMA. That's the beauty of the sport. Yeah. So if he loses this fight, we won't see the Jones Aspinall fight. And
you could. I mean, if
Jones, with that. But
if Jones loses that fight, we're getting a rematch of Stipe versus Jones.
Probably, most definitely.
Yeah.
But then here's the question though. You still have Tom just sitting there as an interim champ.
That's why I told you, Adrian, that you've got to fight. You have to defend the interim championship.
Personally, as a fighter, I would be pissed. I'd be like, yo, what are these guys doing running to back? I already sat away once to let this dude's fight once. I'm not letting them fight again. That belt I should be fighting for that belt. I understand the whole Stipe and
meritocracy.
No, this isn't a democracy at all. I agree that this league was built on the back of these fighters, and also Dana doing his thing, of course. But man, like, I understand this fight is like, okay, you have John Jones fighting. You already took a gamble, getting back in the UFC, going to heavyweight already. He didn't want to, but now he's there. He already is doing something he didn't really want to do, but legacy changing whatsoever. So. But now you add the Stipe fight. So that's just cherry on top. You have the greatest UFC heavyweight. Some want to consider him the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Yeah.
Then you have the greatest fighter of all time to many.
Yes.
And that's the legacy fight. That's a money fight. And that's a legacy fight. So, of course, that fight entices both of these fighters. But it gets to a point where if that fight happens, of course, even Tom realizes, like, let that fight happen. Those guys are legends. Let it happen. Yes. But if it happens and Jones loses, okay, but why am I going to sit here and wait for a second fight? Like, I personally would be like, all right, my turn. Let me fight Stipe for that belt. And if I beat Stipe, then I'll fight John for the belt afterwards. But I'm not sitting here waiting for a rematch. No way.
So I hear you. Let's clear it up. Jones Stipe happens. If Jones wins, Stipe is walking away. Stipe is not staying around. Jones is, some people say 50-50. Some people say 25-75. I don't think he walks away because I think John Jones's competitive nature won't allow him to. especially if I believe what I believe is going to happen, which is probably Aspinall versus Cyril Gane, and Aspinall fucking Cyril Gane up. No offense, but we've seen the wrestling, we've seen the jiu-jitsu. It is non-existent. It is absolutely non-existent.
I think that
Aspinall were able to take advantage of that. Nice thumbs up there. So Jones wins, Stipe walks away. I think Jones and Aspinall would happen because I think Tom would take care of Cyril Gane. And I think at that point, and Jones acknowledged him. He said, "Great win, champ. Keep up the great work. You got a great career." I'm paraphrasing. And he's got stacked up wins. So Jones would look at it and say, like, okay, I'll fight this one thoroughbred that they're saying, okay, this is the one, right? Jones will go, this is the one, right? Like you all said the past 12 times, this is the one. Okay, I'll entertain it one more time. And we get the final fight of Jones versus Aspinall and see, is this guy truly the one? And if he is the one, Adrian, then guess what? We're in for a rematch. And if Jones wins that fight, guess what? We're in for a trilogy and history is made. Either way we cook it. People, let things work out. Jones wants what Jones wants, which is the greatest heavyweight in UFC history, MMA history, whatever call it, the most accomplished heavyweight. He wants that. He wants that because he wants that name on his resume. That is what it's about, people. We all know John Jones. He likes to stroke his own ego, which is great because he's the fucking GOAT and he's allowed to do that. Because if you look at the resume, it is untouchable, unfuckwittable, I should say. And adding that name of Stipe Miocic is a cherry on top, is a great accomplishment. So, yeah, we're going to get what we want, people. As long as Tom wins his next fight against Cyril Gane, which I believe it will be Cyril Gane. It could be Curtis Blaydes, but I think it'll probably be Cyril Gane, which I don't believe either one deserves an opportunity at an interim or a world championship. But them's how it that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, and we all know that's how it happens. So I cleared it up as best as I possibly could for y'all. It seems pretty clear to me, but that's because I'm listening to what Dana is telling me, and I'm going off of an inkling of they don't want to piss Jones off. That's why he keeps repeating. I mean, it goes back to the Colby Leon fight, right? This entire year, I know Dana says stuff, and Dana says a lot of stuff, then he goes back on it, right? But he stayed pretty consistent about Leon Colby, didn't he? Leon Colby's next for almost a year. Leon Colby, Leon Colby, Leon Colby. We're getting Leon Colby. He has been very consistent. Jones Stipe, Jones Stipe, Jones Stipe. He had a meeting with Stipe before the fight, and he said, "Are you going to retire after this?" Stipe said, "I am only focused on John Jones." Basically, without saying, this is basically it. Like, I'm only focused on Jones, and that's it. So we're going to get these fights, and it's going to, and people, last thing I'll say, people are, talking shit about the Stipe, it's not going to be a super competitive fight. Stipe is going to have a shot. Stipe, it's going to go past around. Trust me. He's going to do much better than what Stipe ain't no pushover even at 44 years old. All right. He's better than what Cyril Gane did. It's about the spectacle. I talked about this last week. The spectacle, the aura around it. We're getting Jones fighting and we're getting Stipe fighting. That's a pretty big deal. But I blabbered on long enough. Next up, we'll just quickly go over the rest of the main card. Jessica Andrade getting a big finish over Mackenzie Dern. Stayed with it. You're muted, Adrian. Jessica really, no, I can't hear you. Jessica, you might have your headphones plugged in, or if they're you got to figure it out. Right. Jessica Andrade getting the finish over Mackenzie in the second round, and 4 knockdowns. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Jesus Christ. I mean, she beat the shit out of Mackenzie Dern. It wasn't, the best thing to watch, but Mackenzie, like I said, the striking's not very good. She lands some good shots. I can't hear you. She lands some good shots. Wasn't able to get the takedown. Jessica was just much too strong, much too powerful, and Mackenzie wasn't able to do it. And like I said about Cyril Gane and those guys' wrestling, Mackenzie Dern's wrestling is very non-existent as well. Her jiu-jitsu is incredible, is next level, but her wrestling is absolutely non-existent, and I don't know what Adrian will be back with us real quick. I don't understand why Mackenzie Dern's wrestling is not very good. And I was listening to Weighing In earlier. Shout out Weighing In, and Josh was speaking about this as well, and he was talking about how
Hear me?
hear you now. He
Beautiful.
was talking about how Mackenzie has been in the UFC for 12 fights now, and she still can't wrestle. And he was talking like she's not even grade 1 wrestling, like level 1 wrestling.
Mhm.
And that's eye-opening for me hearing a Josh Thompson say that, because it's just that's bad. You have this insane skill set of I can sub basically any person in this division at any point in time, but you can't get how the fuck do you get the fight to the ground? You can't take them down, then it just doesn't work. So you
Absolutely.
got to get with a team that can get you to wrestle to that level where now it's like, okay, now you're a little bit more in trouble. What do you got to say, Adrian?
I think I agree most definitely with that sentiment that your wrestling is at a 0, and what happened was I think most of these fights getting to the ground is through their striking game. I think that everybody in DC pointed it out that her striking looked like it was improving fight by fight, and it was permissible that her wrestling was not really there because her striking was what was getting people to the ground, knocking them down, forcing people to wrap up, forcing the fight to the ground anyway, and then getting those submissions. However, I think then you put her up against a high-level striker like Jessica Andrade, and although not a wrestler in her own right, as like she's got power. Like you're not just gonna sit there and stand and bang with her. And I think same game plan with Andrade, same game plan with Alex Pereira. Leg kicks. The moment she took away Mackenzie's mobility, Mackenzie looked like she was a fish out of water. She looked like she got hit by a truck a couple times, and then she was flailing just to fight back. And like you said, it wasn't a pretty bout. It looked like her striking really, really took a hit, and she's gonna have to go back in the lab and figure something out because you can't just get your fights to the ground expecting to just outstrike somebody, especially when your striking is not up to par with somebody like a Jessica Andrade who's looking to get that belt back.
100%. Next up, we had Matt the Steamroller Frevola.
What a fight!
Benoit Saint Denis. Another exciting ass fight. I mean, this
such a short fight, but just so much happened in such a short amount of time.
I mean, minute and a half.
At a DC slam.
Listen, BS Diaz is very impressive. He's going to be ranked in the top 15 now. Frevola, I think, was 14, so he'll be ranked either 14 or 13 tomorrow. I believe the rankings come out. And he called out. I mean, stupid call outs, but I mean, he called out Islam. He called out Gaethje. It's like you're not anywhere. You're not getting those fights. I mean, you got an impressive record, 13-1. You're getting finishes. Moises last time. Now Frevola. You keep stacking names up like that. That'll get you to where you want to go in the top ranks of the lightweights. But that head kick was beautiful. I mean, I even saw it coming. I was like, oh shit, something bad's about to happen, bro. Once he started backpedaling, I was like, oh, I've seen this story before.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Ah! Head kick to the dome, knocked out finish. What'd you think about the fight?
Frevola got a little dropped his guard. He started getting his takedown. He did his DC slam. Like I said, it looked like it was the fight. That round was edging towards Frevola. Got up, escaped this situation, and before he could really get his bearings together, BSD just threw that back leg kick, connected right on the top of the head, right next to the temple, and that's all she wrote. Now, how many times have we seen that? Like, I mean, his hands were up protecting his chin, but it just gets right over, and that's just the way the game goes sometimes. So, Very unforgiving sport, very unforgiving situation, but that's the way the dice rolls. And that was the name of the night. MSG was looking for finishes all night, and that's what happened.
It definitely was a finishing night. And speaking of another finish, wrapping up the main card, starting off, Diego Lopes, another minute and a half.
Fan favorite.
Yep. Taken out, which is crazy because they were in New York and Sabatini's from New York. But Lopes has definitely made a name for himself in the UFC and likening him to the fans, obviously, since his last two fights. His comeback against Ivalov, that's where he gained a lot of fan favor from a lot of people, where he took that on short notice, and Ivalov undefeated, and he was able to really prove himself. Yeah, another great finish. Lopes is able to get the job done. He looks very, very impressive. Looks like he's hitting his stride. He's got freaking almost 30. He's got 29 professional MMA fights, so he's experienced. This is his moment now. He's taking advantage of it, and let's see if he can ride this to a top 15, top 10, or whatever in the featherweight division, because the featherweight division could use some contenders for up there. Got a lot of staleness up there. So not staleness in terms of excitement, but like we've seen a lot of them fight each other. So, add a little lightning rod in there, and Lopes with his awesome haircut can add something to it. I shouldn't be talking shit about a haircut. I got terrible hairline. So what did you think of the fight, Adrian?
No, like I said, it was the name of the night. Finish, first quick finish. We started just to really set the tone. I think really rode the wave of the crowd, rode the wave of the fan hype. It's just so crazy how the dude started getting his name off of he lost. I think people forget that he lost, and a lot of people just gravitated towards him. And really likable, just the hair, like you said, the hair. I don't even know what's going on, but the dude, just like I said, I think that like you said, it's adding an excitement to the featherweight division. It's just another win in the column for him after a bounce back win. So I think, like I said, a main card appearance is gonna start putting his name up there, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he ever gets to touch the likes of a top 5, and who knows? Anything can happen.
Yeah. All right. Let's discuss next up. Let's discuss what is next. We'll start with Alex, new light heavyweight champion. Pulling up the rankings right now. So he fought Jiri. We obviously know John Mahal. Sorry, apologies. From the weighing in podcast where one of the guys mistakenly said his name was John Mahal, and they keep calling him that. Jamal Hill. He obviously was in the crowd. They panned to him a lot. Dana said that he's ready to go. Apparently, I don't know how that's possible. This man tore his Achilles tendon in July. That's not even 6 months. Don't believe that's possible.
Maybe this Aaron Rodgers surgery they're talking about is real.
Nope, not real. Not real.
You're
gonna freaking fuck your leg up and end your career, and possibly have to amputate your leg if you try that.
Who knows?
No, I know, and I don't even have to.
Colby wasn't here for rest in peace for the ankle, the Achilles update, but apparently it's working.
We got Pereira as the champ. So we obviously talked about, we got Ankalaev and Johnny Walker. The rematch is set for the first fight, I believe, back in January, because they take that little break in December to January. The first fight back, the main event, 5-round fight. We got that fight. I could easily see that. I could see if Johnny Walker gets the job done in crazy fashion, I could see them easily giving Johnny Walker, making Johnny Walker Pereira, because I don't believe Jamal Hill is ready. I don't think Jamal Hill is going to be ready till summertime, dude. This Achilles tendon takes at least a year. Like every situation, you look at any Achilles tendon tear, it takes at least a year. And it's not something you can take lightly, right? So I don't believe he's back this soon. He's not. And I honestly, the summer is pushing it, because that's only a year. Like usually it might be a couple more months, because you obviously want to take a little bit cautiousness within. You got to go through fight camp and stuff like that. So I think Alex takes a little extended time off. Obviously, he has fought a lot. He fought literally last in July, and then he fought in April before that. I mean, it's been back to back. So takes a little time off. We got Johnny Walker and Ankalaev. We've got Jiri and Rakic, who is returning now, a rematch of that fight where Rakic got injured. Yeah, I feel like, take some time off and see how
Jan Rakic.
Jan Rakic, yeah, Blachowicz. Yeah. Take time off, see how those two fights play out, and we'll revisit this topic in January when those two fights play out.
Yeah, the fight scheduled for the 16th of January. So I think Dana played it smart. He gave himself a window because we know Alex is an active champion. He wants some way he wants to keep fighting. So, and he even said it. So he said, whoever's next. He did call out Izzy, which was a questionable call out. I understand why, with the whole sentiment of Izzy, his situation going on and feeling like he's a talented fighter. But, at the end of the day, we'll let Izzy rest if he wants to, and we'll actually just look at the guys in the pool. And like I said, Dana Smart gives the guy time to say, hey, it's January, so it's not that far out. Take some time. We'll see if one of those guys is ready. Whoever wins that fight, one of those two will be ready at some point. And if not, Jamal's ready sometime in the summer. If this whole, like I said, ankle Achilles injury update is real and actually can get that guy out there fighting.
And I'm eyeballing this too. Another name we got to throw in there, Anthony Smith, and I only throw that name in there because he's got a little bit of beef with Pereira, and he's always been throwing his name in the pool. I'm seeing, so we've got ankle. So this is the top 8 of the of the light heavyweight division, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we got Jamal Hill. He's not ranked yet. He's still read as the champion, but we got Jamal Hill, Jiri, Ankalaev, Pereira, Jan, Rakic, Krylov, Johnny Walker, Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Krylov is he coming off a win? Yeah, he's coming off a win against Ryan Spann.
Anthony Smith just came off a fight night. Did he win this fight night?
Yeah, he won. He beat Spann as well too. He beat Spann. So Krylov is riding a 3-fight win streak, so that's actually a little more impressive. But I can see this is what happened. What I'm seeing, right? Ankalaev is fighting Johnny Walker, right? Yep. We got Jan versus Rakic. That's happening. So Jiri and Jamal is on the sidelines, and Alex is the champion. Jiri needs to fight. Anthony Smith wants to fight. I got a fight right there. Anthony Smith taking on Jiri Procházka. If Anthony Smith wins that, he vaults himself beating the number 1 ranked fighter in the light heavyweight division as of right now. Mm-hmm. And if Jiri gets the win, that's a big win, a big comeback win, beating a vet, a tough guy in this sport who's very highly respected. Mm-hmm. And that's how I see it. If not that, I could easily see them booking Krylov versus Jiri, but we'll see about. I think Smith versus Jiri is more likely.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that a battle-tested Anthony Smith would.
Well, Mr. Adrian saying battle-tested Anthony Smith and then disappearing on us. He's back. Give him a second.
So I don't know what happened. Like
I said, you said battle-tested Anthony Smith.
Yes, battle-tested Anthony Smith. He's somebody. He's a vet. Been, like you said, been there, done it, respected. Good test for Jiri to see, like I said, come back after a loss, and especially like I think people a lot forget that he did go through that shoulder injury, one of the most devastating surgeries that a fighter can go through, and he came back and fought for a title against Alex Pereira, and he didn't perform too poorly, and I think with enough controversy, he might have gotten that rematch, but who knows? Anything can happen. Dana will surprise us in some way, somehow. This fight card, just shout out to the guys again in the matchmaking room. They figure it out. They pulled this whole thing out their ass last minute, and they give us a banger card per usual, So just shout outs to them, and you can always appreciate that.
Yeah, excellent. And we'll wrap up what's next, because we already talked about kind of what's next for Aspinall. So next for I want to talk about Sergey real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I think for Sergey Pavlovich, I'm looking at the heavyweight division. It's also kind of locked up, but he is. Has he fought this guy? Has he fought Volkov?
I actually want to throw my little tinfoil hat on. I think that not Curtis. I think that Cyril Gane will end up fighting Almeida. I do.
I think Almeida and Blades makes a lot more sense.
I do too, but somehow, some way, I feel like Dana will really sit on his word between the fight on Miocic and Jones, and that'll end up making Tom sit out longer than most fans, myself included, and yourself included, because I know you want to see Tom fight again, longer than expected, because I think Tom also agrees that he might not want to risk his interim championship status before even taking a shot at John Jones. But who knows? Anything can happen, and we'll see. The only time will tell.
Yeah, for Sergey, I'm looking at it. He hasn't fought Volkov.
Would be a bad, terrible matchup.
Yeah, I think that's the matchup I'm really looking at. Obviously, Cyril Gane would be a very interesting one. Him versus Almeida would be interesting, but like I said, I think Almeida ends up fighting Blades. I think we get Gane versus Aspinall. I think we get Miocic Jones, and I think we get Pavlovich versus Volkov. I just booked your top 7 heavyweights. Pay me, send the check in the mail, Dana. Send the check in the mail, UFC. I am here to be hired by you, and I will do this for you guys. I only handle the big boys, though. Outside the top 15, I'm out of my element there. But next up, we're going to discuss a thing that kind of stuck in my see, dude, Adrian, these damn glasses keep fucking falling off my face. I got to get something for myself, and I'm going to get something for myself. But the thing that stuck in my craw, Leon Edwards recently, I guess, had an interview and said,
"It's a bad taste in your mouth.
If I beat Colby Covington, I want to challenge the winner of DDP versus Strickland at UFC 300 for the middleweight championship for double champ status." And I am sick and goddamn tired of this double champ shit for right now, especially when it comes to guys who do not deserve it. All right, buddy, you're not Adesanya. Buddy, you're not Conor fucking McGregor, who is, I know people want to look at him and be like, well, he didn't defend the title at all. He jumped up, but because he's Conor McGregor and he plays by a different rule book, just like Jones, than everybody else. That's why it pays to be the star, pays to be the big guy. Leon, you are not that. Okay? You're big in UK. That's cool. You're not a star.
Yep.
Sorry to burst people's bubble. He's not a star. That's pretty fair assessment to make of Leon Edwards.
I'll add the headshot dead narrative kind of helped him out a lot, but
it made him
a lot of us are fans from the UFC because Conor McGregor, you don't even have to ask a lot of people. You ask people in the street who Conor McGregor is, they probably know him. That's enough said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Leon Edwards is not a star, so he's not going to command something like that. Also, you've defended your title once. You defended your title once. So you defend your title twice against a guy you have said leading up to this fight does not deserve a title shot. That he would be the last guy on your list to give a title shot.
Yep.
A guy that, if we're going to be honest, hasn't had a win over a person in the UFC in how many years?
I think about 2 now, or a year. Well over a year.
RDA might be the last guy he beat who is actually still active in the UFC, and he's not even ranked in either division he's in.
Yeah, but
I think he's actually ranked in the lightweight division. But that's not here nor there. Leon, you got to defend the title, man. And you have got plenty of contenders. I'm looking at the welterweight division. You got Bilal Muhammad. You've got a Shavkat Rakhmonov. You've got a guy like Ian Gary who's coming up, a JDM who's coming up. You've got guys like that. You've got a guy who we believe is coming to the UFC, an MVP who's going to add a bolt of energy to that division. You've got guys. So for you to sit here and say, I want to move up and become double champ after 2 title defenses. No. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Defend your title more. And then if you clear the division out, we could talk about you moving up to middleweight.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to hear it for now. I really don't. What say you, Adrian?
I agree 1,000%. You don't got to ask too many people if Colby Covington deserves his title shot or not. The majority of the people tell you no. And on top of that, the quote was, I don't see any interesting matchups in welterweight. Well, let's just rewind this video a couple seconds and we can just hear the tangent this man just went on. And those are the few. Bilal, Shavkat, Gilbert looked pretty well before he lost. But you got Ian Gary on his way up with when he makes it there. MVP, like you said. You got the champion in Bellator who's at middleweight that probably will pull up, and he just beat the shit out your brother, and you was talking mad shit in the cage. That would be an interesting fight. I mean, shit. Like, I don't think you thought too hard about this one, because clearly anybody and their mother can list at least 5 people that are pretty much interesting matchup in your own division. You touched upon it, 2 title defenses. Not really a real solid
wrestler. And he hasn't even defended it the second time. Like you still got to fight Colby.
I'll give him his props, because he did it against debatably the second greatest welterweight. Some people want to say it's the greatest welterweight of all time.
No, he's the second. There's no debate. He's the greatest. There's no debate. He's the greatest.
I don't think he is the greatest. Yeah. I think exactly. But like I said, some people, that's their error. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't care.
But
I don't care what they say.
Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, you got these guys that have been sitting around. I think a lot of people looking at below, like, like it's just no, like absolutely not. I think you just want to have it happen so you can make it happen. Everybody wants to fight Sean Strickland. What's it called? Hamza's trying to fight Sean Strickland. No, everybody saw Israel dip the division, and everybody wants that strap. So I grant it to you. I bet you do. I bet you want your pay-per-view points. I bet you want your money. I bet you want to become even more of a star than you already are at this point, because your stock went up. Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, you got to put some more skin in the game before you talk about holding 2 straps.
Yeah. Well said. And listen, and Valentina was trying to fight Sean Strickland as well too. Over the past.
Yeah, Valentina's trying to fight Sean Strickland. Yeah. Everybody is trying to fight.
Everybody wants to fight Strickland. Listen, it's the American champ, man. Everybody wants a piece of the American champ. But yeah, and listen, this is no disrespect to Leon, right? I believe he'll beat Bilal. I think he could beat Bilal handedly, honestly.
Really? Wow.
Shavkat, I'm not so sure about.
That's an interesting
Shavkat one. Is a scary freaking individual. I believe what he's going to do to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, it could end up. If they weren't, let's just put it this way: if they weren't in the cage, Shavkat Rakhmonov would be in jail for what he is about to do to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And I hate to say that, because I love Wonderboy. He's a legend. He's arguably a Hall of Famer. Probably is a Hall of Famer. It's going to be a crime what Shavkat is going to do to that man. You've got guys, and you've got a guy actually, Ian Gary, that we mentioned, who just said he was kicked out of your gym because you were getting a little too insecure about another kid up and comer getting a little bit more shine. I'm not saying
I didn't know that.
I'm just putting the information out there for you to decide. But that is all we're going to talk about the double champ status. Adrian, is there anything else that you would like to discuss that we didn't get to? Anything? Think of?
No, I think that
I'm an idiot. Preview. We'll quickly preview the fight card this Saturday for UFC. Let me write that down real quick. Okay, so we got Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig in the fucking Apex again. God, Apex. I hate it.
It's funny. I love that you bring that up, because even in the post conference,
he was asked.
He was like, "Oh, the question was asked." And I was like, "Oh, you think about doing more events, like outside, like traveling?" And he's like, "Yeah, like we're traveling everywhere." It's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What? You don't like the Apex?" And he's like, "No, I just like traveling." He's like, "Bet." And he asked him where he was from. He's like, "Oh, if we travel everywhere, I expect to see you
better show up." And I wish he wouldn't have just said, when Dana said you don't like the Apex, don't just say no. I just want to go. Say yeah. No, but everybody's on. The Apex fucking sucks. The Apex sucks. I've spoken about this. It absolutely drains you. You can't go from what we just saw Saturday night in Madison Square Garden with those rabid fans to freaking Apex of just like, oh my God. But we've got Brendan Allen taking on Paul Craig, two jiu-jitsu guys, 2 submission guys. Paul Craig moving down, actually surprising a lot of people, able to get down to 185. He's a big fucking dude, and he was able to beat Andre Muniz, who's also a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but he was able to TKO him earlier. Brendan Allen's fight riding a 5-fight win streak. He was able to submit Andre Muniz, so they've got they got similar wins there, but MMA math never works. This would be an interesting fight. I'm interested to see it. I'm happy it's going to be taking place earlier, obviously. I don't really know who's going to win. I just think it's going to be Paul Craig always brings it. He is an interesting man to watch fight. So watching him is going to be also always exciting because he's just like a zombie. He likes to walk forward, and he'll either throw big shots or he'll pull guard, try to get it. And Brendan Allen probably welcome the pull and guard because he likes to fancy himself submission guy too. So what do you think about the fight this Saturday night?
I think that if you're a fight fan, like these are the type of fights that you want to start tuning into, because these are a good mix of some guys that are looking to find their way into the rankings, some guys that are trying to find their way higher in the rankings.
Yeah, Allen is
like a Paul Craig.
So Allen is ranked 10th.
10, exactly.
So Craig is 13.
So it is looking. These guys are really looking to stamp their future in this league and put on performances that'll hit some highlight reels, hit some TikTok feeds, and definitely get their name out there. So if you are a fight fan and you just like to see some good fights or some highlights, don't sleep on some of these guys. Come check this out. Come check this fight card out, because there might be some sleepers. Definitely would be some sleepers on there.
There might, yeah. I mean, I'm looking. The only other fight that I really I mean, I know Jake Matthews. He's a massive underdog, actually. Chase Hooper taking on Jordan Levitt.
I was gonna say Jordan Levitt and Chase Hooper.
Yeah, Levitt's obviously the guy that's known for twerking and stuff, and then getting submitted by Patty Pimblett and then teabagged on. Chase Hooper is obviously most famous for being Ben Askren's illegitimate son. Yeah, that'll be interesting. It's a fight card that you tune into that could obviously have some sleeper fights, because these are young, hungry men and women who are not very known and would obviously like to make a name for themselves. And that is why I am begging for Dana to get the fuck out of the goddamn Apex and put these people in front of people that make the fan experience at home and there much more enjoyable, to be like, holy shit, look at this. Because it's just the moments. It's about moments in sports, guys. It's about moments in sports. And nobody remembers the moments of, I mean, for God's sake, Daniel Cormier's final fight was in the goddamn Apex.
Why don't you make the Apex the venue? Or just make an Apex a venue and just make money out of the Apex?
They do. They have about like give or take 100 people, maybe less.
100? No, yeah, that's not a venue. That's a hangout.
Well, I know they don't. They don't have that.
That's a watch party.
There.
That's a live watch party.
You remember earlier this year they went to I think it was the Hard Rock or something. It was a smaller venue in Vegas where Marab versus Piotr Jan, and that cool setup that they had, right? That's where it's like a 4,000 or 5,000 seat arena. If you don't want to, just fucking leave the Apex, please. Just leave the Apex. I know it saves you money. I get it.
Dana,
right? Once or twice a year.
Dana, listen to me. This is the pitch, Dana. You're a money guy, right? Set up. You're starting to figure out these stadiums. You've been in a couple of them. You know a couple guys. You know a few people that know the business a little well. You know, a little. They know the dabble in the stadium. You know, you talked about knowing James Dolan, right? So get some information. Make that Apex an actual venue. Get people to actually sell things out of the Apex. Invest a little bit, and maybe that'll end up being a UFC exclusive arena that'll get people to do. And maybe you start doing that in different places around the US and maybe even around the world. That's something that would be interesting. But hey, you save yourself some money from, like you said, those stadium bookings. Keep the stadium atmosphere by adding that fan experience and keeping those eyes in front of those athletes, and put some money in your pocket, bro. Put some money in your pocket.
Listen, yeah, we know why they're doing the Apex. It's to save money, and it was good it was awesome, very clutch during the pandemic, because it was literally all we had. But yeah, we're not in the pandemic anymore.
Yeah,
we're pretty good. We're fine.
Put an update on the Apex.
Yeah, I mean, listen,
add some seats.
You know what sucks too is that it's a smaller octagon. Like, so really? Like that changes the fights, and it's just like that it's just stupid. Yeah, it's really dumb when you.
Maybe they should just throw some seats in there, get some screaming fans in there, get some photographer seats.
Nah, I still get out of the Apex. If you want to do it once or twice a year, I'm perfectly fine with that. But multiple times, it's just, I mean, more than multiple, it's just ridiculous.
Get a walkway, add some fireworks, add some freaking smoke machines in that bitch.
I'm tired. I'm done with the Apex, and we'll quickly run down Bellator, I think it's Bellator's final show, but we still don't fucking know. Bellator 301 is this Friday, November 17th. It's got some names on there actually that I would actually know very much. Main card starting off is Patricky Pitbull taking on Alexander Shabili. I don't know Shabili. I'm gonna be honest with you. Patricky. I know Patricky's got the power. Big prospect AJ McKee, Sydney Outlaw. I don't know why. Who is Sydney Outlaw? He's a guy who's 17 fights. Okay, but I mean, why is AJ McKee not fighting top fucking 3? Wait, I don't understand. Okay. Rafion Stotts is taking on Sabatello in a rematch. Sabatello, he's a loudmouth, but he's pretty fucking boring when you watch him fight, if I'm going to be honest with you. Sergio Pettis, Patchy Mix, that actually is going to be a very interesting fight. They're God, what's the fucking word, Adrian, I'm looking for? They're undisputifying the championship.
Unifying.
Thank you. Undisputifying. They're unifying the world champion and IC and the interim champion,
belts.
Patchy Mix and Sergio Pettis at bantamweight. That is actually an interesting fight. I'll probably tune in. I'll definitely tune in for that. And then the main event is the returning Yaroslav Amaslav, 28-0 or 29-0 now, taking on Jason Jackson. Not very familiar with him, but possibly the final Bellator card of Bellator's existence. Maybe not. It's in Chicago. Yeah, that's really, all I speak. I don't know if you want to mention anything about Bellator or talk about
Bellator, man. I mean, the only thing I can really talk about Bellator is the Usman controversy. He got caught up with the PEDs.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, well, yeah, I don't know about
to quote the great Nate Diaz. All these motherfuckers are on steroids.
All these motherfuckers are on steroids. You're taking everything that I work for, motherfucker. I'm gonna fight your fucking ass. But that is gonna be all that we give to you tonight. That is gonna wrap us up for episode 140 of the Wise Guys podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you've stayed this long, please give us a thumbs up. I said a thumb. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new. Share the content with your friends and family and on social media. Tell people about us. Ring that little notification bell. Da-ding, da-ding. And comment along with us and tell us your thoughts on what we discussed today of everything from UFC 295. What's next for after 295? Are you guys sick and tired of double champ status? Because I am, especially with people that don't really deserve it or have earned it. Predictions for UFC this weekend and predictions for Bellator 301 this Friday night. But that is going to be all. And don't forget to follow and follow us on social medias and stuff like that. Links are in the description. I fucking always do that. I've been Brady Capozziello. That was Adrian Pineres, and we are outie. Bye bye, everybody.